I'm back once again with Game 3 of this year's Summer Backlog Challenge. I'm currently well on track for finishing 5 games by the end of September, but let's keep up the momentum, shall we? This time I have a review of Wolfenstein: The New Order for you. I'm not normally a big fan of first-person shooters, but the Wolfenstein franchise is one that I've kept up with over the years. Let's see if the latest entry does the series justice. Somewhat surprisingly for a series that could traditionally be characterised as loud and dumb, the plot and the characters are some of the strongest aspects of The New Order. The game puts you in the shoes of the main character BJ Blazkowicz once more, but this time successfully manages to humanise him by showing the horrors of war, the impossible situations that soldiers are put in, and the psychological trauma that goes along with living your life like this. The first handful of levels each do a great job of showing how difficult life can be, and there are several scenes in the game that rival Inglourious Bastards for their level of tension. In particular, I am thinking of the scene on the night train to Berlin, where you meet Frau Engel for the first time. I think it was a great decision to bring back Caroline Becker from the Xbox 360 version of Wolfenstein. Although she is now much older and unable to walk, it gives the game a connection to what came before while still allowing it to go off in a new direction. Other new characters like Anya and Fergus are given plenty of personality as well, and there's not a single mission in the campaign that doesn't contain a touching or disturbing scene within it. This truly elevates the game from being just another FPS to something more, a story that will remain etched in the mind of those who've played it for some time to come. My only minor gripe about the story in this game is that it veers away from the supernatural aspects that have been in most of the Wolfenstein games before, and goes into the realm of technology and body horror instead. It's good that they're trying something new, though I did miss the traditional zombies. I hear that the expansion delivers in that regard though. Wolfenstein: The New Order looks great, and the stages take place in a wide range of varied locales, spread all over the globe. You start in Death's Head's compound in 1946, in a level very reminiscent of previous games like the now classic Return to Castle Wolfenstein, before travelling to rural Poland, Nazi-occupied Berlin and London, a prisoner of war camp and beyond. The design of the enemies is menacing, from the standard soldier uniforms to the mechanical monsters that you will encounter. There are a couple of visual highlights for me, one of which I won't spoil here. The other one is a boss fight against something called the London Monitor, a towering metal monstrosity equipped with a laser eye, missiles and flamethrowers. The game doesn't show any signs of slowing down at all, even with something that big on screen. It's a very solidly built game, somewhat refreshing in the current era of bug-filled releases. Voice acting is great across the board, with Brian Bloom injecting Blazkowicz with the emotional yet still tough as nails performance that we've not seen from the character before. Dwight Schultz continues to turn in one great performance after another, this time in the role of the extremely creepy Death's Head. His medical experiments will make your skin crawl. Also infusing her character with menace is Nina Franzosek in the role of new villain Frau Engel. The standout performance for me though has to be Gideon Emery as Fergus. If you have played Final Fantasy XII and heard Balthier talk, or you've played Dragon Age 2 and have met Fenrir, then you know how Emery's voice usually sounds. In The New Order though, he has a Scottish accent, and it's so convincing I generally thought they had hired a Scottish actor for the role. It rivals Nolan North's portrayal as the Penguin in the Arkham games as far as complete transformations go. The game also features some great cinematic music composed by Mick Gordon and Fredrik Thordendal, which includes a remixed version of the Return to Castle Wolfenstein theme on the main menu. As well as the instrumental background music though, there are also a ton of hidden records to be found, which contain German pop songs in keeping with the era. A lot of work has gone into crafting this music, and it shows. Then we come to the sound effects, which are also great, from the mighty boom coming from your auto shotgun, to the mechanical growls coming from one of those giant robot dog things, or the sound of the London Monitor preparing to blast you with its laser. Stealth plays quite a big part in the gameplay of Wolfenstein The New Order. It is highly recommended that you sneak around as quietly as you can to begin with, taking out guards and officers with a silent takedown, at least until something goes wrong and the alarm is tripped. When that does happen, you have quite a large range of weapons to blow the Nazis away with though. These include fairly standard pistols and machine guns to the really satisfying auto shotgun. As you progress through the game and explore, you can also find various upgrades to your weapons, including a rocket launcher module that can be bolted onto your machine gun. You will also get a cutting tool that can be used to open grates and burn through aluminium, and there are many upgrades for that as well. Eventually it becomes a powerful weapon in its own right, one that can explode enemy soldiers into bloody chunks. Great fun. While Wolfenstein The New Order doesn't reinvent the genre in any radical way, it is a more thoughtful and inventive game than most of its type. There are some truly great set pieces throughout the campaign, some of which I want to keep as a surprise. It is the combination of a powerful story and the intense, often gory action that set it apart from its peers though. The main campaign of Wolfenstein The New Order is not massively long, though at the end of the first stage you are given a decision which causes the timeline to split in two different directions. Once you've completed one of them, you can then go back and play the other. While the basic structure of the story remains the same, key scenes are changed and there are a few different characters in each, so it may be worth your while to complete the game twice. On top of that, each level contains a number of hidden Enigma codes. By completing these and cracking the codes, you are given access to more modes, each more difficult than the last. I lack the skill for these modes, but for those who are good at this type of game, it potentially gives you 4 more ways to play through the game. As the game has been out for a while now, you can quite easily find copies of it for about £15, even new. Definitely worth picking up at that price. MachineGames' debut title is an extremely polished and confident shooter, though perhaps that should not be surprising as key members of the team worked at Starbreeze, who also worked on the Chronicles of Riddick, Escape from Butcher Bay, and The Darkness, that were both equally amazing when they were released. A standalone prequel called The Old Blood was recently released, but I am interested in the possibility of a sequel as well, as there are several things within the story that hint that there may be one at some point. Whether that does or does not come to pass though, what we have here is one of the best first-person shooters in years, one that I recommend that you play as soon as you can.